You all ready for another episode?
Nope,
Mm-hmm.
but it's here
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, not now when it's nighttime and I'm not dying of heat. Yes, I'm fine.
Is it very bright and sunny in the morning now?
Yeah, I mean, today wasn't even bright and sunny the entire time. We had some thunderstorms, but it was still super hot.
And in Europe, they don't use air conditioning, right?
Norway now. Europe isn't the same there. I mean, if you live in southern France, I assume you have air conditioning.
Oh, okay. Well,
Don't go and assume that Europe is all the same.
I wasn't assuming. We were getting news reports about people from across France and Germany and, Western Europe that were having problems during the heat wave because they don't have air conditioning in a lot of those places. It's not universal, but it seems to be cultural that a lot of European countries, not just Norway, don't tend to have air conditioning.
Well, that's more than I know. I can only speak well for myself. We actually do have one unit. It's that my grandparents bought, but they mostly use it for heating because it's kind of like a heat and cool system. But it's not really air conditioned.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm sorry it's been so warm.
yeah. And also that unit won't warm, like it won't cool my room. It's in the living room. It only blows out.
Get a fan.
I have a fan in my living room. No, sorry, in my bedroom. But I won't put that up here now.
I have a fan. It's over there somewhere. It's buried under a pile of shite.
Well, then it's not helping you. Alright.
Oh, it's not warm enough for me to need the fan right now.
Alright, well, that's good. Alright. Time for Everybody Loves Raiken, episode 53.
Woo! Woo!
At least according to this. Yeah, should be right. Alright, so, last time, you all got to talk with some of the citizens of Volinar, and you got to talk with some of the Drow, a good chunk of the Drow, to try and make your case that cohabitation was possible. A lot of arguments were made. This effort was largely led by Leah and Cyrus. Jebel and Cyrus were contributing their magic to try and get the crowd listening and understanding. It seemed to me that a lot of people were trying to convince the individual groups of people, the citizens and the Drow, of the mutual benefit of living and working together, to varying degrees of success. The citizens, the non-Drow, were understandably not terribly amenable to this idea. They talked about the centuries of fear and pain that the Drow had inflicted on the surface world, and tried to explain that the Drow forced labor within the city of Volinar was exactly supposed to prevent Drow attacking and taking people from here, lest they end up like those Drow. Which was a point that I'm not sure how well was made to the party. But eventually, Claire and Nalia said their piece, and combined with the words of the party, managed to at least create a group of the citizens present who were willing to consider this cohabitation, this alliance, this potential forward movement. It did cause a rift in the citizens about them, and there is definitely a group that is still strongly against. But progress was made, nonetheless, and more is yet to be seen. After that, the party went to speak with the Drow, as they had been asked to do by Zefrius, the single soldier who first proposed this alliance to them. What he had before him were a large group of his Drow who were still on the fence, and were not ready to believe that the surface dwellers could work with them, or accept them, even. So he asked the party to speak to that, which they tried to do, and managed to convince a large portion of that group that at least something could be tried. There were those in the group that still remained too skeptical of it and chose to return to the Underdark and risk their lives trying to go back to the societies below. And the party sent Leah and Vendar with Zefrius to escort them out. And that's where we ended last time. So, for Leah and Vendar, there is this group of Drow soldiers who you are walking with out of the city. You can see, as you go past different buildings, in this area is largely to the south, are large like noblemen's homes, and you can see faces in the windows as you pass by these different buildings of children and adults who are watching this group of maybe 30 Drow with you moving out of the city, and they look fearful and suspicious. I want to actually apologize. I had decided the other day that I wanted to pause here and speak to the group about some important things before we got started playing, so if you'll forgive me for pausing it. I wanted to pull it back out of character and say, first of all, how do I want to do this? Okay, I'll start with this. You know, I'm always trying my best to write a story that will be fun and interesting, and for my part, engaging. I want to engage you guys in interesting thought experiments and moral dilemmas, and things that will be character building for your characters and interesting to play out. To that end, you know, we cover a lot of topics, and a lot of different things, a large variety of different story threads that we've chased over the years, and so I want to make sure that you guys understand that, you know, I'm just doing my best to present everything in a way that is acceptable and not harmful. And so I wanted to stop here and let you guys know and make sure that you guys understand that, you know, especially with this chapter here, especially in light of recent events, it might be inappropriate. And so I want you to know that you can say if there's ever a moment where it's just not feeling right, if you're not comfortable with something going on. What did you call it, Sam? The X card?
Yeah, the X card is the concept.
Okay, so the concept of the X card is the idea that if anything happens, if I describe anything or we start going down a storyline that is just not acceptable to you, you can just say no, basically. The idea would be that you would put down the X card and there wouldn't need to be any talk or explanation or discussion. We would just stop and find a different storyline to move down. Does that make sense? And this is a safety tool to make sure that, you know, nobody is being put in an uncomfortable situation or engaging in something that they very much don't agree with.
Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So, that's generally applied. That's any time in the game, you know, this chapter, last chapter, next chapter, anytime. So not specific to what's going on here, but anytime you're not comfortable, just say, nope, not comfortable with that. Let's do something else. And that's it. We'll just do something else. Find another way to do it. More specific to what's going on now, I wanted to address the fact that a lot of the races in D&D are characteristically drawn from relations between real-life races, and I have done my best in writing this story to not play into those. Simply put, I don't intend to have any of the fantasy races here be representative of real races. So... And I think I'm putting that as well as I can. It's never an easy thing to go into, but I don't want there to be any confusion of the difficulties between cultures in the game being correlated to real-world racism. I have incorporated some levels of prejudice and racism into the cultures in this game as something for the players to deal with, as an obstacle or something that they can choose to morally engage with, and that's somewhat of what's going on right now.
I feel like there's a strong difference when in the definition of race here, though, considering the fantasy races are literally different creatures, the different species.
Mm-hmm. This is accurate.
It's not just the color of his skin or the color of his hair. So in this case, it's like in D&D case, it makes more sense that it would be pleasure. I can't say that word. Considering, you know, hey, like a human hating a dwarf would be like a dog hating a cat.
Sure.
I think as long as, you know, I go onto the levels of graphicness. It's like when you get unnecessarily into detail about something that's pretty bad, that's just like overkill. Not saying you haven't, but that would be where I would draw lines. You can't have an adventure or working to make the world or help make the world a better place if there's no problems.
Sure, exactly. And I'm not trying to say, well, let's stick with what I am trying to say. What I am trying to say is that, you know, neither my orcs nor my drow are analogs of black people. And I don't want to invite or have anybody considering that correlation, because that's not what's going on here. To that end, and because it's a fantasy world and pretty much anything can go, I figured it might simplify things if we strayed a little bit from the classic morphology of Drow as being the coal black or jet black skinned creatures and make it some other dark color, perhaps.
You can make them
Thinking,
grey.
Yeah, I always thought they were grey.
I was thinking more like a dark purple, something. If you think of like the
A
night
mauve.
elves, like the night elves from Warcraft, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Like a dark purple.
As long as they're
Yeah.
not Smurfs.
Yeah,
dark
I'm
mauve.
fine with that, but I always imagined Drow being like very grey.
So going strictly by the literature, they run a gamut, and the literature says like literally like jet black up through like ashen gray, and it's a whole gradient in there. But I think it invites a correlation that I don't want made, that I'm not trying to make, that I don't want people... I don't even want to be accidentally using terminology that crosses over, so... I think that if we make them this dark purple, that's going to help sever that.
Hey,
Makes sense.
all
And
Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Malika.
I was gonna say, if I'm playing to play the story that you're unfolding with the knowledge you have of us as players and what we're moving toward, and if you feel this still get your story's point across, I don't care.
I think that we're still going to go in an interesting direction. I want you guys to be aware that there are safety tools. If there's something that's too much, that we're not going to make fun of you for not wanting to do it. We're going to respect that, and we're going to find another way. That we're going to be respectful about this.
Yep.
I think that kind of touched on all of the general things that we discussed. Right? Help me out here, Sam. My memory isn't great.
I think that was everything that we had talked about. If I remember anything else, I can message you, and we can go over things another time.
Okay. And I'm poking on Sam not because he brought up anything, but because I always soundboard off of him, and he has better memory for these things than I do. I tend to... If I don't write everything down, I forget. So, for that,
that's what you were talking about Sunday.
Huh?
I said, so I'm guessing that's what you were talking about Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Among other things. Okay. So, safety tools, X card, and Drow, dark purple. Just refer to them as dark elves or Drow. Okay?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Alright. There was an argument that was made in character, and I'm really... It came from a place of, lack of knowledge, I think, and so I'm debating right now with whether I should address it out of character, because it should be... because it addresses kind of the whole issue, or if I should address it in character. I think I'll address it in character. I think that'll go best. Okay. Alright, yeah, I just wanted to take a few minutes to go over that with you guys. I think the last thing I wanted to say was that, kind of addressing Malachi, I'm not necessarily unfolding a story for you. I am revealing the world to you as you choose to explore it. So I want there to be a clear understanding that you're deciding what the story is through your actions. I have written out things that have happened or are going on, but it's not like a movie. You're not sitting there waiting for the next scene. You have to tell me what's going on. And that's kind of the point of the last session, which was very, very talk-heavy. You guys were establishing your position in a very contentious debate. And that was why it was important that everybody spoke and everybody chose a position, because that's what this whole thing is about. It's about who you are and what you're going to stand for morally in this conflict. You are being put into, in D&D terms, a strange position in that you are being put into, you're being made the conflict resolvers, but you're not going to be resolving the conflict through violence. Probably. You could.
Story is not only necessarily like a movie setting, though. It's you're interested to test our characters, make them show their moral standings, make them really show their characters' true essence, and picking objectives and goals, and that's still kind of telling a story. It's just not linear, like all drawn out. It's this is where you're at. This is what confrontation I'm going to give you to really emphasize you.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a bigger goal for you to hopefully get to at the end, and we're going to have this zigzaggy road to get there.
But the thing is that you make those decisions.
You
choose that, not the DM. The players do that. This is not like choose your own adventure. It's not like he's chosen several paths that we just pick. We make the story. We are the authors.
Kind of that is what I want to say here, because that whole big thing at the end that you're referring to, Malachi, that's going to be entirely dependent on what your character's motivation is. So I don't know what the big thing at the end is. I know that I have some people in the world who have large objectives that may or may not...
Paul needs to get his butt stomped. That's what needs to happen.
Sure. But I want you to be thinking in every scene that you're in, what is my objective and how can I move toward it?
Yeah.
What person can I interact with in this scene, whether it's a person on my own party or a person in the city? What can I say to them? What can I ask of them that will further my goal? What is your goal right now?
That's making the story.
Right.
You're giving us to write this. We're writing it. You're the one giving us the opportunity to write it.
Yeah, that is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. This is a story that it's the opportunities you're giving us to write the story, and to me that is the story. The story of Yuki Kaze.
The story of Yuki Kaze, the story of Vendar, the story of Laramentis, whatever it is that you guys want to do, you ask me and we do it.
I thought this all was Raiken's story.
Oh, yeah, it's right.
Yeah, it is called Everybody Loves Raiken.
I know, he's just giving all these things. It's like blowing up monsters just randomly because he's just like, ah ha ha!
I mean, who knows? Maybe next episode is everyone betrays Raiken. I
went
guess.
towards butt and I got something cool.
How dare you guys? I didn't know you were playing that.
That'll be
Thanks
fun.
for spoiling the surprise.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know, right? What a
Turned,
buzzkill.
it was gonna be surprising yet inevitable.
Curses. So yeah.
but-
So I mean, I just, in any scene, that's what you should be asking yourself. If you find yourself drifting because somebody else is talking, listen to what they're saying and then think, how do I move this scene toward my character's personal goals?
Well, I could answer your question right there,
Do it.
Well, I'm on a pilgrimage. That's what I'm finding out for myself. And I've been in the back lines a lot because I'm exploring myself.
All right.
So, that's why I'm on this. And we'll see where it goes from there.
What about this vision?
That pointed to what we were already doing, so... to an extent, because I have to reread it. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, you should reread it and then determine what that vision means to you and what you want to do about it.
Yeah.
And then, in the scene, say things or state actions that move you toward that objective. That is what I want you thinking about, all of you, as players. That's what we're here to do, is to make a story. I've made the world, I've made a bunch of fun NPCs, but the fun game isn't watching all my NPCs like sock puppets doing things around you. It's you guys. Making decisions, becoming heroes. Or villains, whatever. It's up to you.
I mean, we're heroes to some, villains to others.
I mean, I think that right now there's a lot of citizens who are probably viewing you as villains since you're working with people who want to kill them in their eyes.
Oh yeah. We are the bad guys right now.
To some people. Alright.
Yeah,
So, big city. You're going to be moving with Zefrius to lead the Drow to this outer wall. And you will find...
I just wonder how Zefrius write his name. Like, is it with an F
Yeah.
and a Z?
Z. Z-E-F-R-I-U-S.
I just want to make sure how, like, if it's not too close to something.
No. I mean, it's Z-E-P-H-Y-R-U-S. Zefrius.
Yeah, so good.
He just winks at you.
Yuki face.
Winky
That
face.
would be a plot twist.
Plot twist, you just gave the city to Zephyr. Nah. Coincidence of me fishing for a name, and that was the one that I pulled out.
Yeah, I mean, I was there when they decided the name of the guy. You did that during the D&D. So, I know that was a coincidence. I just want to make sure that it's not too much of a coincidence. Like,
Zefrius. He's going to be speaking to these Drow as they walk. And there's going to be mumbled responses, and a couple of them that directly engage him. They're speaking in Undercommon. But, as with any natural language, names are the same across the board.
How does Undercommon sound like when mumbled? I've only ever heard it screamed.
It still sounds harsh and hissy.
I guess it's like how most people hear German. People that have not been to Germany and witness people speaking German in low voices.
Ich bin Berliner.
Yeah.
In any event.
Yeah.
So they're emoting at each other and slurring at each other, these Saknel Masash Araras, you know, conversing back and forth, and you do hear the name Lolth come across a few times back and forth. There is another word, however, that keeps being said. Something in Undercommon you don't know. But it's repeated a number of times, and sometimes as a question, sometimes as a statement, and there seem to be emotions that people are attaching around this word, so you can make a insight check to try and nail down this word. And that goes for Vendar as well.
I got a nat 1.
Nice! It's just hissing and it's a word in a language you don't speak. Just because it's happening a lot, why should you care?
Yeah, I can't even tell if they're speaking. Just making noises.
It's just making noises. What about you, Leah?
What?
Insight?
Oh.
To try and hold on to a foreign word that you've heard repeated a few times.
Insight, you said?
Yeah.
22.
22. Okay.
It's maximum. I cannot get anything higher.
Okay. You don't know exactly what's being said. You just know that it is being mentioned a significant number of times, so it's clearly an important word in whatever they're talking about, and it's being mentioned in conversation alongside the word Lolth, which is the only other word that they're saying that you feel you recognize. Everything in between is the gibberish of a language you've just never taken any time to try to understand or have had very little exposure to. But you keep hearing Lolth And you, Leah, are able to pull this, to hold it in your mind and separate the sounds of this one repeated word from the others in a way that Vendar, while you're hearing it, your mind just isn't capturing the sounds and separating it from the rest. You realize that there's some repeated noises there, but they're just not... They're just not sticking for you. You're not certain, you can't recreate the word in your mind when you try to think about it. If you try to think about it. But Leah, you keep hearing alongside the word Lolth another word that seems odd and seems like Undercommon, but still stands out, especially due to the repetition. And it sounds like Illustrate. You don't know what this might mean in Undercommon, or if it's something important. You figure it must be something important, simply because of how many times the word comes up. As much as he talks to them, and as much as he refers to Lolth and uses this word Illustrate, doesn't seem to change any hearts here, so you guys have to help him open the gates from the inside, and then close them again, so you find that you have to go into the guard's tower over here, and there is a mechanical winch and pulley system that you have to work to pull the gate open to let this group of Drow out, and then close it again. And you see them, through the window here, as they continue out down along the road, and then seem to just blend in with the gray of the rainfall and the sky, disappearing from sight, before you work together to again close the gate. You know that there are no more guards in the city. The streets are empty. As you head back, you find that there are candles burning in some houses, but most houses look totally dark. But even in those, every now and then you catch the glint off of someone's eye. You can tell that you feel like you're being watched from within these buildings as you come back. And your trip back is somber. Zeph does not address you. Does either of you address him?
So what was all that about?
My people are undertaking a great amount of risk going back to the Underdark. I am sad that I could not convince them to stay. It is a foreign concept to go against Lolth for many. But I had hoped that they could see the sense in it, that they could put their trust in me and in you, as I have. I cannot blame them, though. It is a hard life down there, but it was hard here, too.
I understand. I don't have that sort of relationship to a god, but I can imagine it being trying to turn Raiken away from Cord. Safe to say it wouldn't be easy.
Some would say impossible.
The ones who wish to stay, the ones who have already chosen that, I think that they will be powerful allies and are very much on board with the plans that we are trying to formulate. But now I am concerned about the people of this town.
Oh? How so?
They did not love us before, and they will not love us now. It will rely heavily on you and your friends, convincing them through strong words and strong actions.
It also helps a lot having them see you talking with us, seeing you friendly and not in any angry or threatening position. A lot of them didn't even believe it was possible to get emotion out of you. If you can just, if you can prove to them that you are people with your own emotions and can be reasoned with, we can turn a lot over.
The problem that they see is not how we look or even how we act when we are nearby. The problem that they see is Lolth. At this point, they have come back to the group that was waiting here, and they are in conversation. It will be difficult to convince the surface dwellers that we do not serve Lolth any longer. That is why we need your help. And he looks to the rest of the group. Yukikaze at the forefront of that group. You must be our advocates to them. I trust that my people will not turn to violence or fear-mongering, but I cannot say the same of the people of this city. It will be up to you to be the wall between us until they are ready to accept.
We don't want to be a wall forever, though. I'm pondering an idea.
Tell me, Dragonborn, what is this idea?
Well, if they're worried about you worshipping Lolth, would you showing interest in worshipping their gods? And if there are any of you that are interested in a specific god, show them that you want to worship them.
Such a thing could be possible. However, I think you would have an easier time simply convincing the people that the god we do worship is not evil. Since she is not.
Trying to remember Lolth again, forgive me.
Lolth is evil. Lolth is the Spider Queen. She is the demon of darkness. She is the demon lord of the Underdark.
So wait, what did you just say, though?
Said that the god they worship is not evil.
Yeah, so okay.
Well, that is obviously what he believes.
Wait, what god do you worship again?
My people and I, now that we have turned our back on Lolth, will try to find our way to the light of Illustré.
I'm lost on that one, like, legitly.
It is alright. I do not expect many people on the surface have heard of the Dark Maiden.
I heard that name repeated a lot in your conversation earlier.
I was hoping to convince those men that it was going to be worthwhile to stay in her name. Illustré has long opposed Lolth and tried to lead the Drow back to the light of the surface.
Is that so?
But she is not powerful like Lolth, and she has few followers among the Drow.
Would she happen to have any kind of history in the world? Forgive me, because I don't know.
All is
I
forgiven,
would like
surface.
to learn about her.
I would be happy to explain the history of Illustré as it has been told to me.
Would you have any literature?
We were not allowed to keep any writings while we were in service here.
That's a shame. Yeah, you have friends help me. What was the name again for the god of knowledge?
Ion.
Ion. Yeah. We have friends in the Temple of Ion that would really like information on such a god. And if they get information, people will get information.
If you are friends with followers of the Goddess of Knowledge, and they would be willing to share our knowledge with others, it could change minds.
It seems like a great idea. Is
Well-
there perhaps any writings of this in the Underdark anywhere?
Of course, but they will be hidden and few. Lolth has sought to destroy all followers of Illustray, for they oppose her, and her rule must be unquestioned.
Sounds like we may have some allies in the Underdark. Try to
If
bolster
you
this cause.
go to the Underdark and you wish to find others who think like I do, then yes.
Well, that is good to know.
Are you planning to go to the Underdark, Surface Dweller?
Not this moment, but we are in search of something that we believe is held down there.
Something important to your mission.
Yes, a powerful artifact that will help us defeat the dragons.
Your mission is not to defeat Lolth, but the dragons.
Well, it's to defeat everything that's trying to destroy the world. Lolth is included with that.
Fascinating. This artifact is dragon-made?
Yeah, I believe so.
I may know some things that can help you.
Well, that would be awesome.
Take me to this Ion worshipper, and we will talk.
Wait, Sam, is it your birthday today?
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday, mate.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sam. Take me to this Ion worshipper, and we'll talk.
Where did he go?
You know that he left the group earlier, when you were at the central square here, in the company of Nalia. She seemed very out of sorts.
I think he might have returned to Nalias.
Well, let's go see if we can find him.
Okay. Cyrus, do you have anything you want to say before we move this scene on?
No, everything that has come to mind has been said by someone else.
Jebel?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Then you move through the streets to Nalias.
It wasn't for Jebel or the shape we were before you now sorted us into a square. It looked a lot like the bow symbol in old Minecraft.
As you pass through this intersection, you notice that Zeph's eyes do linger on the bodies of his fallen comrades. It says, "And before any plans are drawn up to leave, we will be performing that rite."
Of course. I honestly thought while we were escorting that the rest of you would at least gather their bodies. What did you do during that time? Fiddly thumbs and picky nose?
Mike
I chose not to interrupt the DM.
wipes his hand on his his artwork.
No.
Terrible. You pass through the rain-soaked streets, taking note of the fallen Drow from the battle before as you go, and you come to Nalia's mansion. You see that the door is still laying flat on the floor inside, as it's been kicked from its hinges. Sam.
Yes.
What might have transpired? What would you have been going about doing, in, call it, half an hour, 45 minutes since the hug?
Since that conversation?
Yeah.
If no more was going to be just, like, sat down and discussed, Laramentis would probably have wanted to begin tidying up, since this is not a good state for things to be in, just, like, mentally, you know, with the door there and, like, everything, like the floor dirtied from boots running down across it and all of that kind of stuff. So just to make this a better space, that's probably something that he would have gone to do.
Well, now Jebel is there to help.
Do with the door, but
Hint, hint.
Animal friends to deal with the cleaning. Jebel can get his animal friends to help with the cleaning. If nearly 100 years of Disney has taught anything, animals is great.
I am not a Disney princess.
Yet.
Yeah, yet.
Just gotta hone that.
Raiken is already a magical girl. Disney princess is not out of the question.
What do you do about the bodies in the basement, Sam?
I believe that he first would have dealt with the floor that they're on.
Okay.
The bodies, if he was able to deal with everything up here properly, he probably would have arranged the bodies together, like in one spot in the basement.
Okay.
Because that's easier to deal with, and it means that things can be dealt with around them. Laramentis would have asked Ash about funeral rites for Drow, because that has been a thing that he's tried to be fairly conscious of in different cultures that he's interacted with.
Of course.
Ash
will tell you about the fungal beds in the Underdark that the bodies are committed to, which nourish the bioluminescent mushrooms that grow throughout the Underdark. And cultivating these and transplanting them is a duty of many Drow houses, and so fertilizing them with the bodies of the fallen is part of their burial rite.
That doesn't seem feasible in the current climate.
You are aware that Zeph had specifically told the group...
Laramentis is not aware.
He wasn't?
Laramentis was gone by the time that conversation happened.
Okay. You are not aware. So cleaning up here is pretty straightforward. Prestidigitation makes that short work. There's just the door that's left, and it's heavy wood. How do you want to go about dealing with that? What would you like the end state to look like?
Just sort of like props it up a bit.
Okay. You get to roll some strength.
Sort of leaning there.
You get to roll some strength to see if you can get this thing up off the ground.
12.
A 12. Okay. It is definitely a struggle. You are able
This is also the last thing that he does. And he's just like, you know, there's another thing. He comes back to the door.
You,
Nope.
basically, you do manage to at least get it moved out of the way of the door. You try to prop it up, you know, a long way against the wall, but it's simply too much. So you get it fully out of the way of the door. You manage to drag and rotate it and prop it up the short way against the wall.
Seems reasonable.
Through no mean feat of, you know,
This
like
is the solution.
getting your fingers under it and lifting with your legs to try and just get the door, you know, half the door's width, half the door's height, rather. The door's
You
width.
guys can get some chairs to like be able to lift and just like push a chair underneath it to like rest it part way up.
You could do that, yeah. We can move some chairs over. We'll say that that's the door rested on two chairs next to the doorway. Water, rainfall continues to spill over the threshold. You could stop that with, like, Wall of Force or, like, Liamon's tiny hut established within the confines of the room, or you could ignore it.
I think that will probably just be ignored. Period. Like in a spare moment, just like prestidigitate to dry.
Okay.
But that'll mostly be ignored. He's not going to cast Wall of Force, and Demon's Tiny Hut would make it so he can't go and continue to deal with other things because he'd be stuck.
Okay. I will tell you that while you are dealing with all of these things, Nalia has remained in the chair. She has pulled out her spellbook and has begun writing in it quite a lot. She has also shifted into spring as she does so.
That's a much better one than winter.
Yeah. But she has not said anything to you during this time, simply letting you work.
Yeah.
And she continues to write quietly over there. What's your passive perception?
Not as high as I'd like it. 14.
14. At one time, while you're going about and making these things, you will catch her looking over the top of the book at you. Her expression is difficult to read as most of her face is hidden, but she remains in spring.
Okay.
That's all you get with 14.
Noted.
And then the party arrives. And the place gets muddy again. Nerevar is actually going to say, if you'll excuse me, it's been rather a lot to deal with, and I've had a few ideas that I'd like to explore, and it seems that you all have a lot to deal with yourselves. So, Nolia, if I could borrow the spare room, I would like to sequester myself there. And Nolia pauses her writing for a moment and looks up at him. She shifts in fall. And says, yes, of course, please, by all means. We won't bother you, and I'll let you know when any kind of decisions are being made that might involve you. Nerevar will smile politely and head up the stairs. She will, at that time, notice the rest of the group has tramped in, and she will set her quill aside and fold the book on her lap, and look down and say, you know, Laramentis did just get finished cleaning that.
it will be easy enough to clean again. What transpired after we left? Things had seemed to have mostly settled or dispersed.
So, noting the awkward silence, Zeph is going to look around and say, "While I do not know what took place with the surface dwellers of the city, I can tell you that your friends spoke on behalf of their intentions to my people, and were able to convince a great number of them to stay. We saw those who would not out of the city safely. They are returning to the Underdark on their own peril. Your friends explained to me that you are a follower of Ion.
Yes.
There is a truth that I might speak to you, that I think would help you convince the people of this place and others on the surface to accept my people.
I would be glad to hear it.
He looks to the group and says, "The story is not short, so perhaps you would like to sit."
If we can have some assistance to put the door up, then that will free up some chairs. I look at the Dragonborn. Very pointedly.
Alright, I'll move over to pick up the door.
So will Raiken.
Alright. You may roll strength. I don't think it's necessary.
Nope.
Last time Raiken tried to lift something in this house.
That's why it must happen again.
Okay. Then please roll athletics.
Wait, athletics or strength?
Athletics is strength based.
Well, yeah. But
If you would prefer just strength.
I mean, athletics I get a little bit more of a boost.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you would prefer plain strength, I mean, be my guest.
Well, I got a nat 1, so it's either a 6 with strength or a 9 with athletics.
What if you, like, made the argument that you were grappling the door to lift it?
Oh my goodness.
So, yep, Dahlia's house still screws Raiken over.
What do you have, Yukikaze?
18.
18.
I lift it with one hand and flex my muscles as I do it.
It's like, alright, on 3, 1, 2, why didn't you lift? Raiken's just like, this door is heavy!
Oh, it's pull. I thought it was push.
So you lever it, up onto the chair so that it's vertical, and you move, down to the base where Raiken is, and you just say, "All right, maybe I got this."
Raiken's gonna be like, "Did she slip me something again?"
Nalia looks innocently over at you and says, "Whatever is that supposed to mean?"
Raiken will just glare at her.
She blinks at you, her long eyelashes fluttering. You can place the door back in the doorway, but you do find that the hinges that allow it to move like a door are broken.
I would want to say, so it doesn't fall hurt anyone, put next to the doorway off to the side if nothing's in the way.
I mean, it already was that.
Yeah.
Are they broken in such a way that can be mended?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we use mend?
You may.
Okay.
Magic fingers?
And if he's holding the door there, I will take the time to mend. I think it's a 1-minute spell.
I'll get the bottom one. It's easier for me to reach.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Nalia's giant image file, hard to move around. The two Dragonborn position and hold the door in place. Raiken more guiding than lifting at this point, since his shoulder is just still hurting from the battle earlier.
Yeah, I mean, he used all that power.
So much. You got this, like, bruise on the back of your hand from where the armor transformed. After a minute, the mending is complete. The metal hinges have been rejoined, and the door once again functions as it should. The Drow indicates for you to take seats around the table. You can arrange it. Tell me if this arrangement doesn't work for you.
Seems fine with me.
Yep. Yeah, I hope none of us would hate sitting again next to anybody else.
Let's see. Want to make sure. Here we go. That I have my information here so that I can reference it. As surface dwellers, the Drow Zeph begins once the door has been replaced and you've all taken your seats.
Larry Mendes is going to be writing in his book.
Is Ash paying attention?
I would assume so. But I don't know if you have any particular way to tell if the light floating around my head is particularly focused on listening.
Focusing on Ash long enough does allow you to perceive the glyph that seems to represent his eye.
Yeah, I was more wondering if he was visibly present, because sometimes he's not.
Ash is visibly present.
Currently, I believe I have not turned him down, because it hadn't occurred to me. So he's still bright. He's still a torch floating around my head, essentially.
Your shadows are cast long beyond you, dancing on the walls of the room as you begin to listen to the Drow's story. He says, as surface dwellers, I am sure you are aware of Corellin Larethian, the god that created the elves. And he pauses and looks around the room. You can tell he's expecting some sort of acknowledgement.
I'll nod.
But tell me, is any one of you familiar with the name? And he pauses almost dramatically. He narrows his red eyes and seems to check over his shoulder each direction. Raushni.
It does not ring a bell, no.
Should I roll something?
Oh yeah, you may roll religion.
That is a...
Actually,
27.
27. Actually, what, Malachi?
being in a nomadic tribe, I wonder if I've heard pastor goers talk about it.
Maybe. You can roll religion.
I don't think I have anything to add to that. Nope. Just 11.
11. 11's not bad. Aroshni, for you, not very familiar. Like, it sounds like a name that you might hear in these religious texts, but, You're not familiar with what god this might be associated with, since he's talking about Corellon, he's probably talking about another god. With a 27, however, Laramentis, you do recognize Araushni. It is the lost name of Lolth.
It has been quite a while since I heard that particular name.
And he focuses on you for a moment and says, I should not be surprised that the follower of the Goddess of Knowledge might know this name. It is the name that Lolth left behind when she was rejected by Corellon long ago, at the beginning of anything anyone might know. So all we have left are stories, and the facts of those stories are uncertain. But the way it is told in the Underdark is that when Corellon betrayed Lolth, Araushni, and she left, she took with her their daughter. Their daughter was Illustrae. We know her as the Dark Maiden. Unlike her mother Lolth, Illustrae does not worship brutality. She does not wish for the Drow to take over the surface by force. Illustrae wishes to lead the Drow back to the surface peacefully, against her mother's wishes. It is because of their opposed goals, and yet their conjoined goal, that Lolth has sought to suppress knowledge and worship of Illustrae, and because of the power of her priestesses, she is largely successful. Many Drow soldiers like myself know the name Illustrae, and some of us, like myself, pray to her that we might escape from Lolth's cruelty. But many more Drow have turned from her, unfeeling of her love and unbelieving in her power. It is my belief, however, that if you can convince the surface dwellers of Illustrae's provenance, her goodness, and that she can lead the Drow to the surface peacefully, that there you might have a platform to convince other surface dwellers that we belong here, and we can live together peacefully. Illustrae has suffered much adversity over the many centuries of her existence. There was a time when she was accused of attacking and injuring her father. It was later proven not true, but even still she exiled herself to the Underdark, hoping to nurture the Drow in spite of Lolth's cruelty. And that is why, especially the Drow soldiers, the males like myself, may turn to her and see the possibility of escaping Lolth's cruelty once and for all. I can tell you of her nature, that while she shares her mother's exile in the Underdark, she only did so because she knew that we Drow would need her nurturing care in the coming days. I can tell you that she tries her best to bring hope to my people. But many cannot see it or believe in it through the pain and the punishment and the cruelty of her mother. But she fights to lead us back to the surface, and she wishes for us to flourish with the other common races that live here. And it is that which I believe in, and it is that which my compatriots who you did not have to speak to already believe in. Now, the human here, he indicates Vendar, has indicated that you may soon wish to travel to the Underdark. If that is true, you will want for allies when you are there. I can tell you of a house of Drow that pretends at worshipping Lolth as they try to find a way to follow Illustray's teachings and attain the surface safely. They are not far from here. You may find allies among them. I can teach you how to do it, how to communicate with them, and not get yourselves killed. I also have been told by your group that you are looking for a powerful artifact with which to fight the dragons. I may know of what you speak, for I hear things, even in my exile.
Perked up a little bit.
These events were many years in the planning. Some before I was brought here to this city. I was aware of a plan to take the dragon's artifacts from their island. My information may help you retrieve them. But my information comes with a price. I will share this with you because I want you to succeed. But before I do, you must show me that this is what you believe in. You must help my people find their place in this city, and that will mean you will have to be forceful with the people who already live here to make them understand. They will not trust us. They believe that we worship Lolth, and like you, they do not know who Illustrae is, and have even less reason to believe in her existence and her goals. I am counting on you, my people are counting on you, to make them understand. He straightens up after he finishes talking. He was leaning on the table at the end, bringing his face closer to the people seated near him to emphasize his words. He straightens up and looks over the group and says, "Does any of this make sense to you, surface dwellers?"
Makes sense to.
Loud and clear.
I believe that Illustrae is a good angle to take. And if we can discuss with clerics of Ione and then use them to discuss with the other members of the clergy here, that might help our case in dealing with the other citizens of the city. If the clerics are for something, then it will be easier to convince them.
Well, perhaps we can get some sort of religion set up, a church or a temple for you to worship.
He actually smiles at that. One at first, but it broadens. That would be an impressive feat indeed. Now, there are some snags, I think. One of my men heard when you were speaking earlier with the surface dwellers that one of yours is a follower of Corellan.
That would be me?
Are you able to reconcile working with my people against the worship of your god?
It is not against the worship of him. It is his order to stop Lolth at any opportunity. You said yourself, do not serve her. I see no conflict.
His smile turns into a smirk and then a grin. Well, this day that I thought could not become more auspicious continues to surprise me. I have not before met a follower of Corellan, and admittedly I have not spoke to many who could separate the Drow from Lolth and understand that assisting a Drow who is against Lolth is still following Corellan.
Indeed, it was the start of my poor negotiations, but upon further thought, that is the conclusion I came to.
Well, I am glad to hear that. I will share some more knowledge once you have buried my people whom you killed. Once you have Go ahead.
My apologies.
Once you have shown the people of this city that respect will be given to the fallen of the Drow, and respect will be given to the living of the Drow, then we can talk more about what it is you seek in the Underdark, and how I might be able to help you.
I had spoken with Ash, I gesture at the light above my head, about the funeral rites of the Drow, and I'm not certain exactly which ones we could perform here. Is there anything in particular that you wish us to do?
Your foresight and concern is admirable and appreciated. However, I have already told your group, in your absence, that my people wish for the fallen to be collected, to be given the burial rites of the Raven Queen, and to be interred in her lichyard, just as any citizen of this city would be. We are to be citizens, and we will follow these same rites. It is not Illustray that dictates how we treat our dead. Do you think you can do that for me, follower of the Goddess of Knowledge?
I believe that using the Raven Queen's rights is a good idea for the rest of the citizens to see.
I will accompany you as you collect my men for the burial. It is important that the people of this city bear witness to your treatment of my people and your cooperation with my people. Can you agree to that?
I believe that is fair.
I ask you only because you were not present when this demand was made before. The others did agree, but I needed to know where you fall. Very well. We should collect them before the storm washes them away.
To the voice in the sky.
Yes.
On a level of like, to like, no. How disrespectful is it to use Tensor's floating disk to move bodies?
One at a time would be okay. More than one at a time would be no.
Bring out your dad. Ding ding.
That's fair.
God damn it, you beat me to it, but I still posted a gif.
Raiken will stand up and be like, well, should we get started? They've been out there long enough.
Shall we begin with those that are here?
More of my people are here.
What's the word I'm looking
Squad?
for? Squad, yes. A squad broke into this house, thus the door being non-functional, when we arrived in the city.
We shall start here, and we shall move north and then east to the front of the castle. Then we will go to the castle and remove my people from its hallways. And we will take all of them to the lichyard, which I know to be in the southeast. If we need to stop for a horse and a wagon, that is acceptable.
Sorry, who are you speaking to?
The group in general, but he was answering Laramenda's question.
Yeah, but because I didn't hear for for a little bit because I was fixing my mic.
Okay. He was saying he found out that there were people, Drow, that you killed in the basement here, and he's saying that we should collect all of them in one sweeping motion to bring them together to the lichyard to prepare them for the rites of the Raven Queen.
Since Raiken
yeah.
is near the stairs, he'll start heading down.
Boop, boop, boop. Okay.
Yeah, I'll follow.
It's kind of messy down there. You guys were efficient in killing them. They are several of them burned by the radiant light of Cyrus' sunbeam spell, and others are hacked and slashed by axes and swords.
Were purple worm poison used on any of them?
I don't think so.
No, I did put an arrow through one of them, or two of them at least. I think I only killed one of them with an arrow.
I don't think you poisoned those arrows, did you?
No, they weren't poisoned, but I
Okay.
put an arrow through the ankle of one of the dudes as he was coming down the stairs.
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you had to clean up purple worm goo.
No. No purple
No,
worm
we
here,
we will once we get to the castle. There were a couple
I was
of
gonna
things
say,
I
yeah.
turned to go in there.
but now,
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
you do find that in the basement, these bodies seem to be arranged and laid out in such a way as to make it appear that someone has already come and started working with them, as they are not simply fallen in pools of their own blood. You also find that the stains of blood have been removed. There is a bit pooling because the bodies are still fresh within the last couple hours, but like the overall look of the scene, you almost wouldn't know that a fight took place except for these 6 laid out bodies. As you get there, Raiken. What'd you say?
Raiken was just like asking like himself.
Okay.
Like, someone been using prestidigitation.
Is anybody else going to go with Raiken down to the basement?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, aren't we all going to collect buddies?
I mean, I'll go down, but there's not much I can do.
While we're doing this, though, I would mention, guys, we should think of a way or how we will address people that might confront us about while we're doing this.
Probably you start by telling them to listen.
Sorry, I forgot to mute.
So just keep that in the back of your mind, and we could maybe throw some ideas around while we're doing this.
I vote and go with the truth. And tell them that since these Drow are intended to become citizens, we're going to treat them like such. So they're going to be very like citizens.
It's all about the delivery, though. And whoever's typing mute, you're really loud.
Mute yourself while typing. So, after you are all down there and assessing the bodies that are there, Zeph is going to come down last and say, we should wrap them in linens, as your people do, before we move them to a cart. We will give them the same respect that your dead receive, and we can hide their faces and their injuries. This is not for display.
Alright, who has the linen?
If Laramidas is down there, I would like to politely ask him nicely if he might ask. Is he down there with us, right?
I did not go down there.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot of shifting bodies that he can do in a respectful manner.
So I would. So we probably maybe ask Nalia nicely when we go up, or have Laramidas ask her. Because this is her place, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or
Yes, this is her mansion.
yeah, since this is her place, we could ask her nicely if there's something that she can spare.
She looks over, a bit troubled, and says,
Alright, well, are we up? We're not up there yet, are we?
Were you saying that you
That-
should ask Nalia to all the people downstairs with you, or were you?
Yes, as we're like all there. Yeah, downstairs.
I'm sorry, I thought you were describing to me what you were going to do. I did not know you were talking in character.
Yeah, this is in character saying, like, we could possibly ask Nolly extremely nicely if she has any to spare.
I'll go up and ask around. There's not much I can do down here.
Thank you, Silas.
So I'll head up and ask Larryman first, actually. Do you know where we could get some limbs to wrap the bodies in?
If we need to go out to find a horse and method of transport for the bodies, perhaps in that same time we could go to the temple and see about acquiring any funeral shrouds that they might be able to sell. Does that seem like a reasonable thing? Like, is that a thing that, like, people be buying or like getting funeral shrouds from the Temple of the Raven Queen?
Yeah, that's reasonable that they would have the supplies.
Perhaps we should take Leah then. I believe she has the majority of the money.
If she wishes to join us, certainly. I have enough on me, I believe, for what we need. But
while they're talking that, I'll be down there to see if we want to wrap them, get the bodies into a position where they can be wrapped, and just be that way I have time to be gentle with it and all that. So I don't know how long rigor mortis takes to set in. So just like cross their arms or put their arms to their side and whatnot.
Yeah, you are able to do that. It's only been like an hour or two.
Okay.
Very mild rigor is set in at this point.
Oh, yeah, I have that. Sorry, I forgot to mute.
Ha?
I was talking to myself and I realized I was not muted, so I said, sorry, I forgot to mute.
Oh.
so who wishes to accompany me to the temple?
I'm still downstairs, so.
I'll poke my head downstairs and ask that question. Who wants to help get supplies?
Are we all set up, Tristan, down here today? Have enough time to nicely get everything situated?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of the situating had actually already been done. Like, you could arrange limbs, but the bodies were already, like, laid out. And the area had been cleaned.
Okay. Then I'll start heading towards Cyrus.
I mean, it's actually kind of suspicious that the bodies were laid out and the area had been cleaned.
I mean...
Well, so, yeah, I'll head to Cyrus and start walking up the stairs.
I mean, I assume Norvar's still down there, right?
I believe he's upstairs.
Yeah, Nerevar went upstairs.
Oh, I thought you went downstairs.
No.
The staircase is split up and down.
Okay. Well, then there goes that theory.
So, yeah, so as we're going upstairs and heading, so the Cyrus are just you and me going, or just me, or?
Lerman is going to be doing the majority of the shopping. We are
going
to help carry things, I believe.
Alright. So, we will go up and approach Larmendus, and as we approach Larmendus, like, has anyone else been here, Larmendus?
Not to my knowledge. Why?
Oh, things are mildly tidy down there.
Yes, I had time to tidy things up and arrange people.
Oh, okay.
It seemed better than leaving things in disarray down there.
It could be understandable. Shall we get going?
Yes.
Okay, so who exactly is going to go?
Me.
I am going, I believe, unless someone has a reason for me not to.
Okay, there's two of you. This is going out to procure the linens and then a horse and wagon.
Yeah. Since you said no on the tensor soaking disc.
I said that you could use it for a single body at a time.
It's a long march.
Yeah, but you could use them to get them out of the basement.
That's true, but there's not a whole lot of benefit to... In Lara Mendez's mind, there's not a whole lot of benefit to arraying them up here on the table versus, like, having them arrayed downstairs.
That's fine. I'm just saying what you can do.
So, quick question. Would using the 0 point energy manipulator thing also be seen as a bit untasteful?
Depends on who sees it.
Considering we haven't actually used it on anything, and we don't know the ragdoll physics going on with a body involving it.
Fair point.
So, like, as a like common sense kind of thing, like we have not actually used it. We think we know what it does and how it works, but like we've never seen it in action. Using it on a body that is intended to be respectfully dealt with.
Yep.
Yeah, we should wait and use it on a body that we don't care about.
Yeah. That's not Laramenda's saying that.
What are we talking again?
I think the idea had crossed Cyrus's mind about the 0 point energy manipulator.
Which I don't remember.
The anti-grav gun that we have.
This is kind of an out-of-character thing going on right now.
No, it is an in-character discussion.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry. It's kind of the way he worded it, I felt... Yeah, my bad.
So I had been assuming that it was...
My bad.
like, an out-of-character thing as...
In character.
Is coming. Okay, then my argument is going to be fairly different.
Same here. I would speak up and say, if you feel that it might be, then you could err on the caution and not.
So my argument then in that case is just going to be, no, we haven't used that before, and we can more easily move more of them quicker to their resting place with a wagon.
Fair point.
So who's going to answer Jebel's question?
It was one of the items we got back at the vault.
You point it at an object, and is it like casting reverse gravity, or is it like casting levitate?
Yeah, so like casting levitate.
And essentially allows you to cast levitate on an object and have fine control over its movements.
I was under the impression that was like casting telekinesis or acting a different spell.
Oh, telekinesis, that was the one.
There you go.
So I say telekinesis, not levitate, because
That's
I'm aware of which spell it was.
Yes.
Or Laramenda's is aware of which spell it was. I am not.
Sorry, there are so many that have similar functions and names. Forgot.
Yeah.
Wait, is Arameda still in the same room as us, or is he left?
I think at that point was when those of us that were leaving were preparing to leave.
We hadn't left yet, so it's still...
Since we weren't positive if it was just the two of us or if anyone else wanted to join us.
Okay, I'm just going to approach Laramendus quickly,
You do so?
and I try to get his attention, tug on the sleeve or something.
Yes.
I have enough components to cast Reincarnate twice. Should I offer those? Is this picking up my voice, or because I don't know?
Yeah, no, that was. I am now thinking.
That was an awkward silence caused by the question. I was waiting for his response because this is definitely an in-character question, and I am not going to interfere.
The spell will most certainly be something that we should be able to cast when we venture into the Underdark. We do, however, have more capability in that regard. As actually, so that can you cast spells with residuum?
Only one way to find out.
If you're looking in the rules, you're not going to find it, Thomas.
That's not what I'm looking to see what spells I have that take components that what do you call it? Have components with monetary value.
That is not however much cost it is for.
See, no, I mean just that prepared. I don't think
Oh.
I have any prepared that actually have.
Well, what about reincarnate that you just offered?
Well, it's not prepared,
Oh,
but I do have the. I have the materials for it.
okay. I thought you had both.
I have 10 days to cast it, so.
That's true.
If you can cast it through Residuum, then we would still be going into the Underdark armed with the capability. Should we use the reagents that have been purchased?
It's 1,000 gold per casting. You have enough.
During the discussions with Nerevar on the cart on the way, I know that we had a fair number of discussions regarding Residuum, because at the very least we were talking about enchanting and disenchanting.
Sure.
How much do I think, or how much is that pouch worth?
Given that there's only a few different directions discussions of Residuum can go, and that you have eidetic memory, I would say that you would remember that he indicated the types of spells that can be cast, and that a pound of Residuum, which is what's contained in one of the pouches. You have standard pouches that are holding about 1 pound of the dust. Would be worth, intrinsically, 500,000 gold pieces.
Okay.
And how many bags do we have?
One. We
Did
have
we
one.
give some away?
We spent some in the. Is this something that he should be making a history check on, or can I just tell him?
You can
He's
just say
not
what you
here. He's not
remember.
right here next to me, involved in this discussion. So,
Well, I should be. 'Cause
are you? Where are you?
I
You're
was one
over.
of the first people to say that I'll be going with you.
Okay. You were over there in the thing.
Got the tumor.
What was your question?
How many bags?
Like, how do we get down to 1 bag? I thought we had more.
Some of ours and Nerevar's were spent in creating a corporeal form for Zentharnal.
That I remember, but I recall still having some more than 1 bag left after that.
Voice in the Sky. I think that we had 1 bag and Nerevar still had like 3.
Leah had more than 1 bag.
Oh. Then Sam was misremembering.
The what? Oh yeah, with the Residuum? Yes, yeah, I have like how many pouches did I keep? 3?
20.
3.
3, oh god.
So 1.5 million.
Yes.
1.5.
Yeah. If
That's what I said.
druids are capable of using Residuum as a reagent, then we are fairly well equipped in that regard. However, with the spell not prepared, you should talk to Zeph. about his desires. Burying and then what's the word? What's the word for digging up the body?
Exhuming?
Yes. Burying and then tomorrow exhuming bodies in order to cast the spell might be seen as disrespectful, both to the dead and from the living.
Perhaps you should stay here and...
What is this spell you wish to cast on my people?
Did I hear him approach?
He would be hearing you guys talking about this, so he walked across the room. And then
No, I mean, did I hear him approach? Did he just, like, suddenly just...
No. No, he walked over, you heard boots. You heard boots.
Yeah, I've noted that I have 2 potions of wisdom.
Okay. 2.
And he started speaking as he approached, so he didn't start speaking like the moment he was in your ear. What is this that you want to cast on my fallen brothers? Can they not have their rest?
If that's what you want. But I can cast Reincarnate.
What is this spell do?
It restores them to life. Might give them a different race. Might make them a different race.
I do not want this for my brothers, and they would not want it for themselves. And it would seem to me that it would be in incredibly poor taste given the situation. We want my people to be accepted as the Drow they are. We will not change who they are, even by accident. But I do appreciate that you are trying to think outside of the box. Your consideration is appreciated.
Understandable. Now I believe that we should be off to acquire what we need.
Okay. I just have these 4, which is Yukikaze, Cyrus, Jebel, and Laramendus, who are going to go acquire a horse and wagon and many linens for bodies.
Many linens.
The question is, do you perhaps want to take the time to count the bodies so that you get the right number of linens, or are you just going to ask for some exorbitant number once you get to the Temple of the Raven Queen?
I'm gonna look. I lost count. It's like it has to be what? No less than 20. I'm gonna try and count in my head how many I know fell, and then we can add a few more that I might have not seen.
Who have the squawk boxes?
The walkie-talkies? I don't believe I'm in possession of one.
I think I have them. Well, I think them in the bag I'm holding.
Well, one was given to me because I disappear a lot.
That is a
true.
reasonable course of action for us, yeah. So I think it's Leah and you then.
We could put those to use so that one group can stay with shopping, the other one tallies the dead so we don't over or underbuy.
I got a 27 in my history check.
To try and just...
In my head, be like, yeah.
Remember all of them that we killed?
Now, there were a few that died outside of your awareness. However, you mostly walked over those bodies. Eidetic memory is a powerful thing. Alright. No, I think that's fair enough. And I think that anywhere these things died, You were, yeah, you passed through. Okay. So those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Do you want stuff for, like, Sivan and the mages?
So, the mages, yes. Sivan, we still want a shroud for him now, yes.
Okay.
17, I don't know if his rights as Lord are supposed to be different.
19.
Okay, you're stuck in the river.
I mean, it is Brondor.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Why do you think the last
10,
Lord
11,
went?
12,
He probably stole them out.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
Oh, no, he was
18,
eaten.
19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 38.
Okay.
You dropped 38 bodies.
I was pretty far off in my low ball of the estimate.
One lizard with legs.
I mean, it barely resembles a lizard anymore. It's more like puree.
It was a lizard at one time. Now it's
really
more of a
just-
stain on the wall.
Yeah, it's really just paint that was poorly applied.
It is the very definition of chunky salsa.
So if I think that there's 38, I would round up to 40.
Okay.
In case there were some that I was unaware of.
That's a fair point. Now, and that's fine, and we'll run through what you guys do momentarily. I want to know what you that have chosen to stay here in this house think you're doing.
I would say if like the arms and legs need to be moved together to prepare them for the linens, that
You find that that has already been done.
then Raiken will stand guard. Or he'll go back up and stand guard at the doorway just to make sure nobody is thinking of trying to do anything.
Okay. The people in the house, as far as you are aware, are 6 dead bodies: Zeph, Leah, Vendar, Nalia, and Nerevar.
I mean, I would love to try and help carry the bodies, but I don't think I'm strong enough.
I mean, we shouldn't carry the bodies until we get the ends on them, anyways.
Yeah. Once we do that, or maybe me and Cyrus can cooperate.
I want to know. Do you believe this story of Ilistray that I told you earlier? And why?
I don't have any reason to not believe you.
He
I
looks
heard
at
crazier
you.
stories.
He looks at Raiken a little skeptically.
Based off of how you've acted, how you've presented yourself. There are many gods that I don't know.
The surface dwellers that would admit such things, I find are few and far between. Admitting that one does not know a thing is like saying, I have a weakness for you to strike at right here. He points at, like, his upper chest. And no one wants to do that. Why are you so comfortable with your self-assessed ignorance?
The only god that matters to me is Cord.
You're talking to the simplest of a party. Just accept it.
You gonna take that, Raiken?
I mean, I'm not a complex person at all.
He's good to fight.
I will be the first to admit that.
A little bit basic, but he's good in the fight.
You weren't the first. I was the first.
Oh. Leah, don't talk back to your father.
I grimace.
You are a very interesting bunch of people that I have come to know here. And I wanted to know why it was you so easily accepted it when so many surface dwellers would simply assume that all Drow worship Lolth and that any other statement was a falsehood or a deception. And yet you take what I have said and say, alright, that sounds reasonable. I find this surprising. I hope you understand. It is not a criticism. I am trying to understand you as I hope that you are trying to understand me. What makes you so different from other surface dwellers to be able to look past the fact that I am Drow and see someone who does not actually worship Lolth anymore?
Well, for me, again, it's not necessarily the god that matters to me, but how people act and how they carry themselves, and whether or not they make themselves as enemies of me and my group or my family or my people. In the end, you showed that you were not looking to be an enemy.
I think perhaps you are not as simple as the others claim. A simple person would have said, "This is a Drow, and it must be killed." A simple person would not have waited to see if harm would be done. You have simple desires, I think, to please your god. Perhaps something else, but that, and little else.
Well, I think you've got me pegged then.
Gross.
You're gross for thinking it.
He smiles at you. Very interesting. And you say you have heard crazier stories, Leah. What is crazier than a Drow that does not worship Lolth and still seeks the surface? This I want to know.
You mentioned the Lich. That's one of the crazier ones.
You met a human who turned himself into this Lich.
Yeah, she lost someone there to her and it drove her mad. Then she was a Lich and controlling sandstorms in the desert for 500 years.
Quietly, slowly begins nodding, saying, that is quite the interesting and crazy story. What is a lich?
Oh, it's like an undead mage. They're
Ah.
very powerful and scary. We just barely got out of there alive.
You fought this undead mage.
Yeah, we think we destroyed it. We hope we destroyed it. It's not easy destroying a lich because they kind of manifest into an object. If that object is not destroyed, they can always reincarnate. We hope we destroyed the right object.
I hope so too. I think I begin to see how one as young as yourself, Leah, has come to have such an understanding point of view in this difficult world. The hardships that you have had to put up with, that you have seen yourself through with your... He turns his face slowly toward Raiken, says, family.
Raiken nods.
He nods. Very, what is the word? Surface dwellers use harrowing. And they cause, shift in the way one sees life. Would you say that is accurate?
Yeah. Hopefully, I will do enough good to balance out the bad, at least in my heart.
Human, what was your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. Vendar. My name is Vendar.
Vendar. I apologize. I had not committed it to memory, but you spoke very passionately on behalf of my people earlier, and I wanted to thank you. Your words were thoughtful. Perhaps we can refine the arguments in the future, but your passion and your willingness to help in this is what I appreciate. And so I wanted to take this moment to say thank you for speaking to my people, and thank you for speaking to your people on our behalf. You and your friends have all surprised me today. I believed that the only path forward was going to be to follow the Chosen One back to Lolth. I figured that if you defeated him, there was a chance for this, but I thought his trap to be inescapable. And so I came into today very dour, thinking that we would be taken back to Lolth after so many years away. That our faith in Illustre would turn out to be misplaced. All of your friends have given me a great gift in being able to maintain my belief that Illustre will lead my people to the surface in peace. Thank you. He holds eye contact with you for a long moment, Vendar, before breaking.
Alright. You have any idea where Lynn went, Leah?
No. I mean, she was there and then she wasn't. That's kind of her thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank her for her help.
I think we'll see her again when we need her.
Yeah, she tends to show up when we need her.
Who knows? Maybe if you say her names 3 times, she'll show up.
Our magical protector.
Okay. So, you guys head out into the city. Going to the stables are up here in the northwest. And it is, as you are moving there, that you do find yourself running into a group of Drow. They are still decked in armor and weapons. They watch you warily as you approach.
As we get close to them, I will ask them if they have run into any trouble with anyone.
They look at
Or
you.
I guess first I will ask if anyone there speaks
Common.
Elvish, Dwarvish, Draconic, Sylvan. I'm going that just going through the list and gauging responses, and then moving to the next one if there isn't a yes.
One of them says, it's not refined. It's not nice sounding. But one of them says in Elvish, I know some of that.
That will make communication easier. Has everything been all right here so far?
He looks at his compatriots and says something to them in Undercommon, which causes the other 3 to shake their heads. Wow, loud keyboard. It causes the other 3.
That's alright. I forget that I turned up my mic sound so you can pick up the keyboard now.
Yeah, I appreciate that the mic is up, because I also have your volume, your voice way up just to be able to hear it, so that is necessary. But yeah, if you're gonna type...
Yeah, I'll mute myself.
Okay. It causes the other 3 to shake their heads, and he turns back to you and says, no trouble with the citizens. Yet. What are you doing?
We are going to acquire a wagon and funeral shrouds so that we may put those that have died to rest properly.
There's a pregnant pause, and you kind of hear some coughs and grunts from behind him, and he says, you mean our people that you killed?
Yes.
Zefrius trusts you. Tells us, trust you. He eyes you very warily, kind of leans in towards you. Hope we can.
What would be a good response to that be? I mean, it is my sincerest hope as well. I suppose he should probably Yes, that's fine phrasing.
You mean...
You're saying that he seems uncomfortable with the language a bit. But I think that's...
Honestly,
Yeah.
he's probably not going to take it the way you mean it. He's going to say, you don't know if you're trustable.
I believe that we are, wholeheartedly. Clarimentus is not trying to hide anything.
No,
but,
he's
yeah,
still eyeing you like he thinks you are.
And I don't know if Laramentus realizes what that his agreement is, I suppose, like an insight to see, like... No, Laramentus realizes nothing.
Okay. He's going to...
I guess, my passive insight is 14.
Okay.
But I rolled a 7.
Nice. So he's going to, like, eye you suspiciously for another few moments, very uncomfortably. Then he's going to nod over his head, and the soldiers are kind of going to straighten up and take a few steps backward toward the other side of the road. He says, "Go. Treat my people well."
Laramentus will nod, and then assume that everyone's kind of follow him as he goes.
So, you make
Does
it to
anyone
this...
else in the group? That group of 4 speak Elvish?
Yo.
Okay.
We all do, actually. Well, except I don't know about Jebel.
I don't think Jebel does. Jebel, do you speak Elvish?
No.
Okay.
Fucking...
So you were not privy to the exchange that just occurred. So you may ask if you are interested.
Sorry, my browser's running a bit slow. What was that all about?
They had said that they hadn't run into any trouble in the intervening period with any of the other citizens of the city, and it expressed a desire that we all might work together properly. Is anyone else going to chime in and inform Laramentus that he read things a little wrong? No.
Yeah. It's not quite right.
What?
You weren't exactly reassuring them with the way you said things.
I was trying to be.
True.
I was trying to be quite honest with them. But
Also
I
true.
hoped that the trust was mutual.
Yeah, you might want to try and avoid the words hope and trust in the same sentence. Say that we are trustworthy, not I hope we are trustworthy. Sends a bit stronger message.
Noted.
You make your way down the oddly familiar streets of Volinar. At least familiar to Laramentus and Yukikaze. You actually feel a strange sense of familiarity. Like, obviously you've been here before, but it seems to have a special importance in your mind. Something happened here. If you want to make
Is
it.
the stables near the coffee shop, out of curiosity?
No, the coffee shop was, like, over here.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna roll for what you mean, because I thought that the other thing had been outside the coffee shop. It's a 25.
I'm not
So I
actually
can roll well on.
positive if Laramendus was there now that I'm thinking about it, but I'm going to talk about what happened, and you tell me. I want Malachi to roll his history as well.
Alright. I'm trying to remember what happened there also.
Glad I brought it up then. What do you got?
Apparently 10 is my number today.
What's your pass? Yeah.
14.
14.
Total.
Okay. You remember an altercation right in this area. The green, unpopulated area right here that I'm circling is the market district, which has a few interior streets and a lot of different buildings set up. And here, this is a wide stable yard with a large covered barn to house the animals. And you can hear them whickering and neighing and braying inside as the rain continues to fall and make the stable yard here muddy and awful. But you recognize your memory is triggered as you walk this street of a moment the last time you were here when a thief appeared and tried to steal a golden axe from one of your party members. And in trying to get it back, you incurred the wrath of the city watch. The guards came to break up the fight, and you were brought before Lord Sivin.
Golden axe.
So, I know that Laramendus joined up after the guards did. And I thought that he was in the coffee shop copying spells at the time and heard a fracas outside and was like, "Oh, please don't be them." And then it was.
I know that the altercation happened around here, but I thought the coffee shop was in a different area. But if you recall that you were in the coffee shop at the time and heard it, then my memory must be off about where the coffee shop
I might not
was.
have been in the coffee shop, but
I don't remember why exactly you were separated, but it did occur to me that you might have been. But you spent a lot of time separated from the group in their last trip to Bromdor, to Volinar.
I think most of my time was copying. Most of my time away from them was copying spells because I got sending and I think one more.
Good things.
How did we live before sending?
It was very peaceful.
I didn't have to spend any spell slots on you assholes. But this recollection of the party's last visit to the city and how unenjoyable that had been seems to spring out as you enter these familiar surroundings. You are assaulted with this memory.
The original time?
Mm-hmm. You've only been to Volinar one other time.
At least in game. Yukikaze probably hasn't been here before the game started.
I can't answer that for you, but I know the answer.
Only time I remember being here was when we actually went to the throne room. Wait, no. What? I don't remember that.
Alright, let me give you the quick breakdown. When you joined the party, they were on Arcosia. You helped them fight some Driders, then you guys stole a boat and navigated a storm. That's when you joined the party, was before Laramendus joined the party. You got on a boat with them and went to Volinar. They crashed into a fishing village, that's where they picked up Laramendus. Then you took the boat and came here in order to talk to Lord Sivin to try and convince him to stop his war with Aspara because they had the dragons, which were a much bigger problem to worry about. You spent at least 2 days in the city because you needed to come in and meet Nalia, and she had to arrange your meeting, your audience with Lord Sivin. During that time, Nalia took Leah and some others to the Temple of the Raven Queen to learn about the Raven Queen's following, and to show you around the city. That was just one of the major points that you went to, and Laramendus was spending time in the coffee shop copying spells. It was when you were walking through the market district that a pickpocket tried to steal Bruenor's axe of the Dwarvish Lords. And when he succeeded, the party attacked him to try and get it back. And he called the guards, saying that you were assaulting him and trying to steal from him.
Yep.
And this is when Rowan got shot by Leah.
That's true.
Wait, what?
Rowan
Yeah, I
gave a
remember you-
potion to the thief.
Yep. And you Eldritch Blast him.
I think I was with Laramendus at the time, not with the confrontation.
So, you probably weren't with Laramendus.
Laramendus was alone.
Or we were selling the boat at the time, weren't we?
No,
People
I was
selling the
there.
boat would have been Vendar, and Vendar was very much involved
Yes.
in this fracas.
I was very much involved in this.
I see, because I remember the event, but I don't remember being... Okay.
Because then you all got hauled into Lightstone Keep for the first time, and had to plead your case in front of Lord Sivin and explain that this asshole stole the thing and then blamed you for attacking him, trying to get it back.
It was actually our second time in the keep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had met with Sivin before. We had.
It was that morning that we met with
Because
Sivin, and then...
Yeah. Our best evidence was the fact that Sivin had seen us with the axe earlier in, like, the week or day.
Alright,
Yeah, literally like 5 hours earlier.
that makes sense. It's been a while.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm drawing
That was where I decided I didn't like him.
I'm drawing a blank. So we're just gonna have to play this because I legitly am. It's not being recalled to me. Like, yeah,
Some random pickpocket tried to steal our artifact
yeah.
and lost anyway.
Tristan, I'm sorry. If you want me to kind of recognize the place, but I'm gonna say because I legitly am not recalling it that I don't recall it.
So your history check gives you the memory.
Memory of it? Okay.
That's why I've explained it. I explained what your history check allowed you to remember.
Alright, well, okay. I remember that area. Alright. I can't believe... Alright.
Could he have been off getting his vision at the time?
I'm pretty
No.
sure
Did you have a
everyone
vision in
was...
Volinar?
I don't think he had a vision in Volinar.
I recalled him having one here because Nalia was present for one of them.
But I know...
Oh, did Nalia take... When this was happening, did Nalia take him to the Temple of Bahamut? Yeah.
It may have been then. Yeah.
This is why I wish we had them all recorded.
Good point about that. I had completely forgotten.
Well, so, Laramendus, you recognize this area, and that memory is dredged up.
Ugh.
You are welcome.
You squelch your way across the mucky stable yard and pound on the door to the building as thunder rolls around you and rain continues to fall. After a few moments, the door opens slightly and you can see candlelight beyond it, and a short, balding dwarf stares up at you from beyond. He says, "Aye, what do you want?" "Wait, that's wrong. This is Bromdor."
Yeah, they're from Minnesota. It's happening again.
Oh! Okay, who's calling then?
What was his name?
Hmm?
That dwarf, what was his name again?
Which one? This one?
No.
I think he's trying to remember the one from the army that they had.
Yeah,
first
the one that
one, yeah.
constantly changed dialects.
The first time they
Martin?
Yeah, Martin.
Martin.
Yeah.
I went through his name again.
Martin was a Bromdoran soldier. Ah, it's so fun being back in places we've been to before.
Wasn't Martin we met during the same time we had like the prisoner or the Bromdor prisoner that I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, the Dragonborn I wanted to match up with Raiken.
Yeah. This is when you burn Markin with the fireball.
Yep.
Nice.
And Martin wanted to see snow.
Yes, because I've never seen snow.
How can I help you folks?
We were hoping to be able to rent a wagon and horses to pull it.
Okay, so you're looking to rent one of my wagons and a horse, huh? Okay, well, he kind of like opens the door a little wider and looks past you. Says, "I don't recognize you lot, but the guard knows you're here."
I'm a friend of the Archmage.
Okay, but the guard knows you're here then, and that's all good?
Yes.
Okay then. Well, let's take a look at what we got here. Let's see. You can follow me over to the stable.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So, how many horses do you need?
Well, we need to be able to pull the wagon. I turn to everyone else.
Okay, how big a wagon do you need? I have a few different styles that you can rent. I'll just be needing to know how long you're gonna be taking it. And if you know how far you're going.
We'll be staying within the city.
Oh, well, that's interesting then. Okay, he kind of like pulls out a few pieces of like folded parchment paper that he kept in his pocket. Now he's inside the stable. It's not wet. He kind of like pats them off and takes out a piece of charcoal and scratches a note down to him and says, "All right then, cool. How big a cart do you need?"
I turn at everyone else.
We should get a big one, I think.
Well, do you know what you're moving? Is it a lot of goods? Are you looking to move like a lot of barrels or something, or like casks of wine or such?
We are intending to bring the Drow that have died in the city to the Temple of the Raven Queen for burial.
Uh-huh. Well, that's... You were doing what now?
We need a wagon so that we might more easily move the bodies of the Drow in the city and in the keep. What are we calling it?
So the building you've learned from history is called Lightstone Keep. It has been referred to as a keep and also as a castle.
Okay, and the keep to the Temple of the Raven Queen for burial.
It's diplomacy.
So, there aren't any more guards then? Is that what you're saying?
There are still Drow that are performing that function.
Where did y'all say you were from again?
Well, I'm from, what was the name of the village?
Brilmont.
I'm from Brilmont.
Brilmont. Oh, yeah, Brilmont, the backwater with the fish.
There's a lot of fish, yes. Actually,
I've got a cousin out that way.
I say the name of the cousin of one of the people from one of the dwarves from Brilmont who had a bakery here. Because one of them did.
Yeah, no,
I didn't go there last time.
I know, it's true. Hold on, I need to pull it up. No, that's the wrong thing. This? Alright, goodness gracious. Character list. Oh, he would be high up on the list. Alright, what do we got? Oh yeah, John Craigston.
Yes, he has a bakery somewhere here.
Oh yeah, oh boy, John! I love John. Shame what happened to him.
What happened to him?
Oh, his oven broke, don't you know?
Oh.
Poor thing can't get a replacement for any of the pieces with the things the way they are. World's all topsy-turvy right now.
Depending on how it's broken, we might be able to help.
Oh, well, that would just be excellent. I've been needing some good bread lately. So, if you know John Craigston, and you can help him out, well, he owed me a favor then. Alright, tell you what, then. I don't know exactly what's going on outside the stable, and I figure I don't need to. So, I'll set you up with a wagon and a horse, and, you get that oven fixed. We'll call it squaresies.
I turned to everyone else. I believe that sounds fair.
I just really hope we can fix it.
I'm sure we can figure out something.
I don't know who you are, but I have faith in you, okay? Alright then, let's see here. Gulliver! Gulliver's a good horse. Come here, you know, come on. Alright. He's just a bit of a fighter, hang on. He wrestles with this stallion for a few before finally getting it out of the stall and some harnesses thrown over it, dodging deftly some well-placed kicks. And he says, I don't know how many things you need to move, but I've got a logging wagon with the high walls. Keep the logs from tumbling. I think that's probably the type of thing that'll help you out.
Sounds good.
To the voice in the sky, does that seem a reasonable thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very well adjusted to whatever the fuck's going on here.
That would be perfect.
Okay. Well, alright then. Hang on then. Just wait a tick. Actually, if you can hang on to Gulliver for me, I'll go get the wagon. He, like, throws the lead at you.
Jebel, I believe you might be better suited to calming the horse than I am.
You don't like horses? Or horses don't like you?
No, I just don't like anybody, especially this guy.
I didn't hear that. So, for the most part, they're perfectly fine. This one seems a bit more energetic than I am used to.
I'm gonna kick you.
Most of the horses that I interact with are the magical kind.
Alright, I've got
those.
If Larmendis is kind of moving into the area, like the range of the horse's leg, I'm just gonna
it's moving toward him.
Gesturing forward.
It's moving toward him. with purpose.
I'm just gonna be like, Larmedis.
I'm gonna kick you.
I move in his direction.
The horse. You're holding the lead, so the horse continues approaching. He's taller than the other one. I'm gonna bite ya.
I'm gonna take the lead off. I'm gonna go over, take the lead off Larmedis, and just look at the horse and say, "Stop it."
I'm gonna. What did you say to me?
8.
I don't understand what's happening here. Did you just talk?
Yes.
The horse like straightens up, and you see this like 1,000-yard stare. Like, nope, that didn't just happen. I don't think so. Nope. Maybe if I stand real still. Oh god, he's still there.
Yes, this is all just a dream. Come on, over here.
It's still talking to me. Why is it still talking to me?
Magic.
It very stiffly like follows you as you tug on the lead, moving to where you indicate. It says, okay, all right, what's going on? Why do I understand you?
Magic.
I don't know what you mean when you say that.
You don't know what magic is?
Right. Like, no. Sometimes it's magically nighttime. Like that. Like the sun's out, and then all of a sudden my head is very warm, but it's nighttime. So I go to sleep. And I think that's magic. Is that what you mean?
Sure. Sure. Things just behave weird with magic.
Will bad things happen if I bite you?
Yes.
His ears are like twitching a little. Okay. I will not bite you.
Don't bite that one either. He's got magic as well.
Okay.
Who else am I with?
Just tell me what you want me to do. I don't want bad things to happen.
We're just gonna move this cart around for a little bit, and then we'll come right back here.
I can do that. I'm good at moving carts. Where's the cart? Oh, here it comes. And as he says this, you look over and you can see the dwarf coming back, pulling this wagon out. He's, stocky, small man that he is. He's got the harnesses like wrapped around both of his forearms. He's just walking backwards, pulling it, and it's this long cart, like 18 feet long, 6 feet wide, and it's got these like 2x4, like 4x4 pilings rising up straight out of it, clearly there to keep logs from rolling off the sides, sticking up 4 or 5 feet over top of it. He says, "Alright then, I think this cart will do it, just got a... Gulliver, where did you go? Oh, there he is. Okay, whoa. You're a gnome and he's not bit you, or kicked you."
No, he knows better.
He looks up at Gulliver, says, "You've never known better than to do that, eh?" Ha!
I'm going to offer the reins.
He kind of absent-mindedly takes them while still considering the horse, and sort of looks down and realizes they're in his hand. Goes, "Alright, let me just get this hooked up for you." He goes to work on that. It takes him a couple minutes. He comes back and says, "Alright, if you just, you head this way and you go out that door there, I'll close it behind you. And you should be able to go right out the gate. It's not locked or nothing, so just make sure it gets fully closed, otherwise it'll block the way. Whatever it is you're doing, I don't need to know anything about it, nothing. Go help John Cragson with his oven, because we're all looking for some good bread, and it's been a mighty long while without it. So do that and bring back the wagon when you're done, and we should be all good."
Excellent.
I'm going to turn to Lara Mendes. Do you know where this guy who makes bread is?
Oh, I don't actually remember where John's bakery is, which is one of the reasons I hadn't been able to go and see him last time I was here.
"Oh, yeah, that'd be a problem. Don't worry, I can tell you exactly the intersection. It's how he gives you the names of 2 streets and tells you the general direction you need to go to, like the referencing the distance off of, like, the eastern wall of the city. Says, yeah, I should have no trouble finding it over there.
Wonderful, thank you.
Tell John Cragson that I said hi, and that he owes me."
Did we get his name?
No.
Voice in the Sky?
No, you didn't. But now I'm gonna have to give him one. Fighting the urge to just call him Dirk Stonefist.
Stone Forge.
I can still call him Dirk Stonefist then.
It's Dirk's cousin. Dirk. Stonefist.
We're gonna call him Doug Stonefist. Some clerics in the city. Cool. And now we have a stable hand. Stableman. Stable owner. Doug Stonefist. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I'm Lar Mendes.
Of course you are. Tall guy, Well, off you better be getting. I don't know what the situation with the guards is, but I know that I'm in my house and not dealing with the likes of you. If anyone asks.
Very well.
You stole my horse.
I don't think we should go around saying that.
It was wandering, and you're gonna return it to me later.
I suppose that's better than having stolen it.
Look, just tell them whatever you need to tell them. It doesn't get me in trouble.
Very well. And then I begin leaving.
He closes the door behind you as he said he would. You now have this wagon that you can ride upon, not unlike the one you already had. You ride the horse and wagon past this patrol of guards again.
So, quick question. Does, Ash object to his scholar agreeing to lie?
Ash has nothing to say about it.
Alright.
Sure.
Lar Mendes said nothing about lying. Said just say things that are going to mean I'm not in trouble, and as far as I'm concerned...
The truth will accomplish that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right.
It might not, but...
So you ride past the bodies again, still just soaking in the rain. And again, you notice, eyes looking down from the houses, watching you go by, mostly darkened, clearly curious, some upset, distrustful. But then as you pass out of the noble area, the aristocratic part of the town, and you hit this purple area, this is all the lichyard. So these are all mausoleums and grave markers. You notice that many of these grave markers are tall and have many names inscribed across them.
At any point during the travels here, do I come within range of nothing familiar?
During your time in the stable.
Alright. Then I'd just like to get an update as to what the instigator might be up to.
Instigating?
Chad.
He's got a group of people in his house, and they're talking about how they're gonna kill the Drow.
Alright. Well, can't say that's unexpected.
Right.
Once we are by ourselves, I will inform the rest of us here, the rest of the people here.
The streets are eerily empty in this city, as people seem to be avoiding going out still. Now and then you'll catch people poking out of doors, but any and all activity in the streets dies away completely as you enter the area of the Temple of the Raven Queen. So, you are alone for all of that and can let the party know.
Just so you guys know, Chad from the discussions earlier today seems to be trying to plot with some others to find a way to kill the Drow, as somewhat expected.
And we know where he can be found?
It's within 100 feet of the stable. I can get more specifics if we go back.
Makes sense. We can inform everyone else of this so that we may make a proper decision.
You get to the Temple of the Raven Queen, and it is this white granite monolith. It stands starkly against the gray sky, and the water washes over it. You can see rivulets of grime in it, just years of dirt collecting against the white stone. The front of it is columnated, and the columns directly on either side of the door are masterfully sculpted with imagery of death. You see macabre dances of, skeletal figures and ghastly or misshapen figures, and throughout all of it, as though watching these as people are seeming to be headed toward their death. The dance is almost a progression of standing to being prone or supine as it flows down the column, but intermingled throughout you will see repeated imagery of corvids, these ravens, blackbird type birds, their beaks protruding from the stone. Some, feathered and whole, others simply skulls. Does anybody read Celestial?
I bet Ashley's. But I don't.
Okay. There is Celestial written on the building.
Sadly, I do not. That's what I need to add to my list to learn eventually.
So, it has Celestial written on it. Whether or not you're interested is up to you. You may ask Ash if you are.
Yeah, I think I will.
Okay. Above the door, not necessarily a placard, but the beam of stone that frames the top of the door has the what did I say? I almost said supernal. Celestial written on it. And Ash looks it over and says, "Well, Scholar, it seems to be an adage famously attributed to followers of the Raven Queen. It says simply, all life flows in one direction and never back. It ends here."
Fitting.
That is all it says. I imagine it is a phrase shared by many temples of the Raven Queen.
Thank you.
Of course, Scholar. Approaching the door, you find that the doors are these heavy, dark wood. And as you pound on them, it almost seems like your blows, the sound of them are lost in the density of the wood itself, and you find that you have to pound harder and harder to produce any noise. You feel like you're being drowned out by the rain. But eventually, after about a minute or so, the door does... You hear a bar lifted, and the door does open. And before you stands a tiefling with pale skin and curved horns with very little ornamentation. She is wearing blue and silver robes. Actually, this one is male. Excuse me. It is a male tiefling. He is wearing blue and silver robes and is largely unornamented. You do see that there is some tattooing around his neck, and on the wrist of one of his hands that protrudes from his robes. But otherwise, he is very plain looking. And he looks upon you. So, as I said, he has pale skin and dark hair. His eyes appear to be purple, solid orbs. And he looks out upon you and says, in a not unkind voice, "Yes, how can the Temple of the Raven Queen help you, gentlemen?"
We are intending to lay the Drow who have fallen today to rest. And we're hoping that we might, purchase funeral shrouds for... I don't know what the word I'm looking for there is. So I'll just...
For the corpses?
No, I'm thinking, like, for their decency, like, for...
Oh.
Like, that's the gist of what it is, but
Yeah,
I can't
no, I know
remember
what you
what
mean.
I'm thinking of.
No,
So,
and now it's gone from my head, too.
For them,
Protect
and that we might be able to have the temple's assistance in laying them to rest properly.
If that is what is desired, it is highly unusual. The city has never asked us to perform funerary rites for the Drow. Is something changed?
Through discussions with the Drow that are here, we believe that it is in the city's best interest to help integrate them as full citizens. And as such, we believe that them being laid to rest as the other citizens of Bromdor, of Volinar would, is an appropriate first step.
He listens and looks on, but what's your passive,
Insight is 14.
Insight is 14? He does not seem particularly interested in this explanation. More like if he were so bold, he would just sort of be nodding and rolling his eyes, but he is clearly more polite than that. So he is...
I can deal with polite.
So he is sort of staring at you. You feel like... It's hard to tell without pupils or irises, but you feel like he might be staring through you. He says... If that is what you wish to do, we can perform these rites here. Has the Lord decided on a particular place in the lichyard for them?
That is another thing that should be discussed, I suppose. Lord Sivan is dead.
Eyebrow rises very quickly.
Currently acting in a managerial role. I don't know what word I'm looking for there. Is a woman named Claire from the Mages Guild.
Ah, Claire from the Mages Guild. You almost feel like you could perceive a smile on his lips. We like her. Very well.
Interim.
In the absence of Lord Sivan and his desires, we will... What's the word I'm looking for? Arbitrate this activity ourselves. If you are indeed working with Drow within the city, then I will take that to mean that we may, as would normally be done, utilize the utmost care and treat these bodies as any others in the eyes of the Raven Queen. He seems to almost be asking.
Absolutely.
Excellent. As I said, we like Claire. Very well. I can provide you the shrouds. Do you know the number you will need?
I believe that there are just shy of 40 corpses.
That is a significant number. It will take me some time to gather and transmit those to you, but we, of course, are well stocked. Please, you may wait inside the door and out of the rain.
Thank you.
He is going to step back and pull the door open wider. Inside this building, you are aware of the area immediately around him being much like a foyer. The ground is flat. The whole floor of the area seems to be white marble. It's very austere, like they want it to look pure and clean. Like white is the goal color here. This foyer area, this entryway, extends for about 15 feet in, and on either side of the door itself are like tables with pads of paper upon them and charcoal with which to write, and slots to place these pieces of parchment. The purpose of this is not immediately clear unless you want to make a religion check.
Yes.
Okay.
That was not the lowest I can roll. That's a 16.
Okay. You know that these...
I got a 21.
Nice. You know that these pads of paper are for writing prayers addressed directly to the Raven Queen about a particular person, asking for her to guide their soul, because you know they are either not long for this world or have recently departed it. Mm-hmm. These little slots that you can put them in are they are designed to look like the shelving that aviaries keep for the, or what do we call them, rookeries keep, that the birds would deposit letters into when they come back from receiving or delivering. You know that this is very fitting imagery, as those are usually ravens. Beyond this are a scant few benches that you may call pews for people to actually sit upon to offer prayers to the Raven Queen, and as with many temples, these are watched over by a larger-than-life statue, and this statue stands in total nearly 20 feet tall, and is wrought in what appears to be onyx. Very dark black stone, glass-like. And it shows a tall, small-framed female form, wrapped from head to toe in a cloak, and from her back are these half-folded raven's wings protruding. And you can see, like, in the folds of the robes that she's wearing, the impressions of falling raven's feathers. Up at her head, she is enshrouded in this hood that seems to come down over her eyes. But beyond that, like, underneath the hood, you see what appears to be a raven's beak protruding down from the hood, as though she herself is possessed of the head of a raven. And she stands with her hands folded in front of her with her fingers laced, and you can see that she has very bony, almost, corpse-like long fingers with long nails. That is what this is how the statue appears. It is imposing. It takes up a large segment of the far wall. Let me move you guys inside. Sorry about that. And it is, as I said, standing straight, but because her head is tilted down, it seems to like she's looming, especially with the wings folded behind her, like she's looming over the room. The other odd thing here is that beyond the few rows of pews, you see a bunch of slabs, and I use that term very particularly. I use it to refer to the flat table used for preparing bodies. It looks like that is done directly in this room. There are a number of tools by each slab that look like they are designed for this end. And as he allows you in and closes the door behind you, and you see all this, I think the last detail I want is that the walls on either side. So this wall to the northwest and this wall to the southeast have several large, tall windows that are filled with stained glass, showing imagery of the Raven Queen and or ravens. You see again this shrouded feminine figure surrounded by raven's feathers in them. You see a white visage that looks like a death mask, like the type of thing placed over the faces of pharaohs when they were laid to rest, only wrought in porcelain as it is white as opposed to gold. Reflected in the imagery in these stained glass windows, and between the stained glass windows are these royal blue banners that fall from from almost the corner of the ceiling all the way to the floor, and emblazoned on them in brilliant and glistening silver thread is the head of the raven, the symbol of the Raven Queen. So as he steps back, allows you into the room and closes the door behind you, the rainwater pooling around you as it drips off of your clothing, he's going to move back into the room, and as he does so, an elven woman is going to appear from one of the side doors, and she's going to say, "What is it, Orasker?" And he will turn to her and say, "It seems we have guests who have need of our services. There has been a change in the rules outside our walls. We will be seeing to the bodies of many drow. If you would be so kind, Lorana, I need some help gathering the linens for the bodies." And she looks upon you, and I don't know that any of you has met. Nope. None of you has met either of these people before. So, the elven woman simply glances among you for a moment and then says, "All right, I'll get them." And so the two of them disappear. They return several minutes later together with armloads of linens that they begin to lay out on one of the benches nearby. And they turn to go gather more, and the woman pauses a moment longer, and she seems to be tapping her chin as she looks upon you, Lair. And she says, "You... pardon my forwardness, but you wouldn't happen to be, Laramendis, would you? From Brumont?"
I would.
Oh.
Yes.
Nalia has told me so much about you. She says you're a very good friend.
Laramendis will smile quite widely.
I'm sorry. My manners are, please. She strides forward towards you and says, "We haven't met before. I'm Lorana. I'm a good friend of Nalia. She comes here seeking counsel, or... she likes to talk. We have good conversations. She says a lot of good things about you. It's a pleasure to finally meet you."
What was the name of the person that Norvar was looking for?
Lorana.
Huh.
It was a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Lorana.
She smiles. "I'm only sorry it took us this long to finally meet."
I previously tended to avoid the city and the busyness that it entails.
I think I can
Although
understand.
I imagine that might be changing.
Well, hopefully not for the worse. I haven't seen Nalia in a few weeks, actually, so, if you're headed that way, give her my regards.
I will.
You wouldn't happen to know someone by the name of Noravar, would you?
She actually freezes. Her eyes go very wide. How do you know that name?
We met someone by that name who's been spending a great deal of time and effort trying to find someone with your name. Based on your action, I'd assume it's you.
This is a cruel joke.
It's not. He's in the upstairs room of Nalia's house.
It's not possible. He's dead. I watched him die.
Minor illusion. Image of Noravar.
She breaks down completely.
I'm going
Stop it.
to send to Nalia.
You perform sending.
Hold on while I construct the message. How do you spell her name?
Lorana, Lorana.
Okay. No worries. Same end goal, and I didn't need to be the one.
While you're sending, this young elven woman, well, this elven woman is, covering her face, backing away, and finds, her way to one of the pews and sits down hard, breathing heavily and sobbing into her hands. She says, "Who are you, and why do you taunt me with such images?"
My name is Cyrus, and I'm not trying to taunt you. I'm trying to tell you the truth.
I also have got minor illusion.
You turn into a Quetzal. Do it.
I do not have wild shape. I can.
Has it not been an hour of is it a short rest?
I don't know, because we've been walking around a lot, haven't we?
You have, but you could have gotten a short rest in by now. There's been so much talking.
Okay. Short rest, confirm.
That was not Lara Mendes telling me.
I know.
That, by the way, that was the Chaos Gremlin Sam in your head. He's an asshole.
I was
Probably
well
couldn't
aware. I was aware that I didn't have any uses of wild shape left because of the mouse and the elephant.
Right, you did a mouse and an elephant, you ran out, and then you went through the fights, lots of fighting, and then there was lots of talking.
Okay.
Like 2 hours worth of talking. It's like, you got into the city, like, slightly after 10, and it's, like, after all the traveling and talking and stuff, it's, like, 3 now. Or getting close to 3.
Okay. Then, yeah, sure. Wild shape. Wild shape into Quetzal.
so mean.
Just... If you don't believe me, wait here. I'll go get him. I'm gonna start walking it back to Nalia's. And once I get outside, I'm gonna cast haste.
So you did see me cast the spell Sending, which you've seen me do enough times that you know that I did that.
So you, Jebel, wild shape into this form you recently found you could take. You shrink. Your body changes shape, though your height changes little. And you take on the brilliantly gleaming, reflective golden feathers of the Quetzal. You have the long serpentine neck and the small beak perfect for chewing into berries.
And bacon. And bacon.
And bacon, perfect for bacon. Your arms elongate and grow long golden feathers, followed by green and blue and red on the trailing edge. And much like a bat's wings are formed of their fingers, so too are these formed of yours, leaving you with just your pointer and middle fingers at the knuckle to be able to grip with. And your feet shrink and shrivel and become talons, and you find that you must crawl or hop on the ground. The illusion complete, you are now covered in glimmering golden feathers with blue and red and green at the wings and on your tail, with these long, trailing, indescribable, like whip-like feathers coming off the edges of your tail. And you sit on the ground before her, and you find that your voice is now high and squeaky, and you sound just like the Quetzal that you are imitating.
Burning through more spell slots in the combat.
She is currently covering her face and sobbing openly into her hands. What do you want to do now that you have taken this form and she has not yet looked upon you?
Let's go. He travels with someone like this. I'm not that guy. I'm not Cal. I'm a vegetarian. He isn't.
Derek Goodwin says, ask for bacon.
She, You hear her audibly, choke one of her sobs, and she slowly pulls her hands away from her face, and you can see that her eyes are just, running all of her, the face paints that she was wearing down, black lines streaking her cheeks as she looks upon you, and she chokes a few more times. And she falls forward onto the floor and crawls towards you, reaching out with one hand.
No, he's over in the... Is he in the keep?
No. It's not in the keep.
How is this possible?
Because we've met him.
I watched them.
Ennis, what do I do? You're smart, you know things.
It's not possible.
I have sent to Nalia. She is on her way.
She is seated on the floor under her folded legs, under her butt. And she's got one hand to her mouth as the other hand continuously tries to reach out and stops midway between herself and Jebel as the Quetzal. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't. I watched you die.
I'm not Cal.
I don't understand.
I met Cal.
How?
He was on the wagon.
Holding the form is clearly not doing any favors. Like, this blows through any lack of insight you might have.
Okay, then pop. Gnome.
Oh god, you lost him a second time.
Nice. She struggles to gain composure. I saw them die 50 years ago and 100 worlds away.
Well, it did make it quite clear, so to do a very large amount of world hopping to make its way here.
Did he say he was going for 50 years?
That is what she just said.
I know she said it. I'm asking.
He
Did Maravar say any amount of
was
time for himself?
No, he was very flighty when talking about Lorana. He only ever said, it's taken me a long time to get here. He only ever fell back on a long time. I would like to point out that we're like 45 minutes past our normal end time, and I think things are about to get big. And I'm not going to want to stop once that starts, so I'm as much as I hate to end in the middle of, like, scenes.
So I'm hearing Cliffhanger.
Yeah, you're hearing Cliffhanger. We're going to Cliffhanger you. We will start next time with the results of these actions. The numerous interesting actions that were taken in this scene.
Not gonna lie, I think so far that's been one of the most important questions I've asked. Is that who he's looking for? Oh, yeah. Found her.
Very, very well observed, Derek. It completely went over my head.
I couldn't say anything this entire time.
I want everybody to take 850 experience for this one. There was a lot of good roleplay.
Ooh, bonus.
Did you say 850?
Yes, 850.
Okay.
An extra 150 experience in the pot because everybody contributed well.
If I had 1 XP less, it will be 111,111.
Sorry, I usually use even numbers.
Funny you say that because mine is 111,111.
It is?
Yeah.
So, Vendor, I'm sorry, gain 1 experience. And Leah also gain 1.
So I'm exactly 1 experience further than when. How is that even possible? How, like, when?
I obviously planned it out.
Yeah, but it's still confusing to me how we can have those weird numbers when they always stay even. How did that happen?
I have been waiting for this reunion for months, and I did not see it coming out because of Cyrus.
Welcome.
That one did surprise me. I figured it was gonna be me.
I figured it was going to be Nalia.
I
mean,
I was prepared to do the exact same thing Cyrus did.
yes, like, I mean, I've heard stories. They were about like it starts with an L. I think that Narvar's looking for somebody whose name starts with an L. Might as well check. Jackpot.
Just go up to every elf with an L name. Does the word Nerevar mean anything to you?
No, I
like
checked
no, and you're like
no.
Excellent.
All right, we went overtime. I'm going to end the stream.
Yeah.